RotoGrinders, Dean here. Dean 78904. If you want to get all technical, right now is the start of not 2+ hours of Mlb Dfs conversation. Maybe it might get to 2 hours potentially, but we're going to yield early to crunch time because we have two different slates. Fanduel is including the 6:35 games, which is 4 additional games, and DK is not. So DK, of course, starting later, 7:05, 7:07, give or take. Fanduel starting early. Crunch time coming in today. 6 o'clock on the East Coast. You got Chief Mineralogist Kevin Roth. You have SDL Cards. And I believe, I want to say, is it, you know what? I don't know who the other person is. I should know this. I have the wrong email open. And can we do this again, or are we doing it live? We're doing it live? We can't do another take? Okay. We're not. It's SDL Cards, somebody super, super sharp, and Chief Mineralogist Kevin Roth. Speaking of sharp people, two-time millionaire winner, it's Head Chopper. Chop. Welcome to the show. I thought you were done with baseball. Maybe is this our swan song? Is this it? You're knocking out all the football content these days. You're
asking me questions. We don't even have a schedule for this show next week. How am I supposed to know if this is my last show or not? They don't even. The only name on the sheets right now is Dean because you host every day. That's it. We don't even know anybody else who's doing. So I have no idea if I'm doing.
It's fluid. It's a fluid situation.
I would assume I'm doing more baseball because I'm here right now. So there's obviously no limitations. So
you're playing up the string.
Just assume I'm on some more shows with you, Dean, for baseball. Crazy.
That's good. I'm looking for. I hope this isn't our swan song. I hope this isn't it. For this threesome, filling out the threesome, it's Kirkwood, Kirk D's. Giver of the Juggalo players, leader of Juggalo Nation. Well, I guess you're probably third in line, right? You got Violent J and what's Shaggy 2 Dope? Is that those are your guys? Those are 1 and 2. You're vying. You're still on the podium though. You got that bronze medal there, Kirkwood. Fired up. It's been a rough day for your Kirky. Hopefully, you're going to bounce back and have a fun show and talk a little bit of baseball.
Yeah, I'm going to be figuring out the slate with everybody at the same time today because I've been dealing with moving and movers and furniture delivery and having my baby with me the whole time. And, it's been hectic. But I'm here. I got Jug Nation. And also, I a little bit on my mind here because I tuned into the show last night real late because I had a haircut. And all I heard was you and Bobby talking about me like
Bobby for sure.
Bobby was saying it was you. You were saying it was him. The chat was telling me to go back. I didn't go back and check the tape. I probably will tonight, maybe. But
who could say
Juggalo Nation is deep here, my friend. You don't want to cross us. I got a whole gang of DFS killers out here in chat that are part of Jug Nation. So
I would never besmirch you, Kirkwood, or Juggalo Nation. I would never do such a thing. Bobby may have. I can't speak to that. I don't recall. Sometimes I'm listening. Sometimes I'm not. You know how that works. Do want to say, speaking of Juggalo Nation and those that are, there's probably a Venn diagram. Those that are still playing Mlb Dfs, probably not much of a Venn diagram, that are still grinding Mlb Dfs in month 6. Do want to shout out those hanging out and chat with us. Kindly hit that like button, subscribe, turn on those notifications, do all those things. Esteban is trying to rat me out, saying I was talking trash.
Yeah, it doesn't look good for you by the numbers here. Every single one of my Jug Nation said it was you.
They're just stirring the pot. They're just having some fun, right?
These are my people.
It's month 6. They're bored. They don't want to hear about WOBAs, and WRC pluses at this point in the season. They'd rather just kind of rattle the cages.
Sweeper. Well, there'll be somebody will come in chat and say, why you guys are supposed to talk baseball. You're supposed to be talking baseball. Chop will have to tell them that we're here to entertain.
Yeah, well, I think we can do both. I feel like we can do both. It's a fine line for sure. And yeah, we should outline the difference in the slates. They are sometimes it's like 1 or 2 games, but today it is distinctly different. FanDuel is including St. Louis and Baltimore at 6:35. Again, that's when the first pitch goes down. They're going to be focusing on FanDuel and DraftKings on crunch time, but they'll definitely make sure to cover the FanDuel lock. If they need to stick around, I'm sure the crunch time will stick around and work up all the way up to lock for DK if necessary. Probably not, but if it is, I imagine they would keep answering questions. Washington, Pittsburgh, also FanDuel only. Cincinnati, Detroit, FanDuel only. Kirkwood, your Atlanta Braves are FanDuel only, and also Spencer Strider is FanDuel only against Philadelphia. The DK slate starts at Texas. Texas versus Toronto. We just had a scratch in that game, by the way. Also, Scherzer doesn't matter for today. DFS we care about today and today only, but Scherzer apparently shut down for the season, and Leody Tavares was just scratched as well for the Rangers. Interesting. Also, I kind of like this move that FanDuel pulled. Where DK is the 7-game slate, and it's sort of like 6 games, and then like it's like a doubleheader of the second game is just kind of on an island, San Diego and the Dodgers. The only game after 7:40 on the East Coast, and FanDuel just drew it out, which I kind of like. You know, we have a sprint slate on FanDuel, dropping the last game, San Diego and LA. So DK losing all those games I mentioned earlier, but they do grab the Padres and the Dodgers. Snell versus Pepio. Man, Chop, your thoughts? Are you playing both? It's a lot to take in. Obviously, 2 different.
Hell no.
Oh, all right.
We need a that needs to be like we need a recording of that.
That's a drop.
Like the air horn. It's like hell no by Chop. You know.
First off, Dean, no, it's football season. I'm not playing a lot of baseball, but I'm on the show and I'm doing content, so I'll do a little something for the people. But Dean, I need to say that number one, it just really hit me.
Yeah,
you don't have your typical goofy background up. You have an actual RG certified backdrop there, sir.
The man came in and said, "You know what? It's distracting."
Corporate.
Yeah.
Corporate. You know,
I was gonna say that a while back, but I didn't want to hurt your feelings. It just wasn't.
Eugene Levy told me I have to take it down. So
now, secondly, we are all almost uniformed here, except for I knew I was coming on a baseball show. So I quickly changed my backdrop to the baseball backdrop. You two guys left the football. That's okay though. We're close enough. This is as close.
Good eyes, Chop. Good eyes. I got a football show tonight.
So do I, Dean. But I'm here for the company, man. I like to switch it out and do the right thing. But this is as close to a professional uniform crew right here that you can get. Not some of these guys coming in off the beach in their muscle shirts and. And just agree. Like they have a green screen.
Name names. Who are you talking about?
Some guys have a green screen in the background, and it's just a green screen. They don't even use the backdrop. Like if you got a green screen, use the damn backdrop. But whatever. We're looking pretty sharp here.
The belt, Chop. Out of curiosity, maybe are we 100% upstairs and downstairs? What do you got below the belt?
What is the kind of? You're getting way too personal.
Uniform.
And it sounds like you're very interested in it, Dean. Like too interested in that. But
is there a premium cam for that? I don't know, but I mean, shorts.
I'll give you a link.
Shorts.
I'll give you a link to my OnlyFans, Dean, if you really want it. Listen, it's just I'm playing a little bit, Dean, but not on FanDuel. It's just they split them up. If I'm going to play and I'm going to do the research, I just want to do one bit of research. No offense to any of these guys, and we'll get you covered here. But when I want to play, I want to research fully into one slate. I don't want to have to dig into 5 extra teams over here, 1 extra team over here. So just a little DraftKings tonight. But I got the FanDuel salaries pulled up. And I've done the research on it, so we're good.
And your time, right? We're used to a set time. And Dean, right off the show, he said he liked how FanDuel did this. Like, I absolutely hate it. It's crazy.
Well, I said I love that they dropped the last game. I love a sprint slate. I'm a sucker for a sprint slate. And all their games start within an hour of each other, I believe. So like you're not tilting your face off for 6 hours. You already know you lost money in 4 hours. I think that's nice of them to do.
You know that anyway. You know.
You never know.
When it's those rare times when you have a late night sweat, you know.
Yeah. Well, if you don't hit the first home run on the slate, you close the laptop. It's like, oh man, that's it. It's over. You can't recover from that for sure. How about yourself, Kirkwood?
I just want to say my shout out to my man Butthole Jenkins. And I don't know what's going on here with Bobby Gomes now showing up in chat after I heard that he was all, I still don't know who to believe here, whether it was Dean or Bobby. I'll give Bobby the benefit of the doubt because I don't think he would go that route. And I wouldn't put anything past you, Dean. But one thing I want to talk about here, where we can kill a little bit of time is our boy A-Rat. Did you see the news?
What are you talking about?
Yeah,
A-Rod?
I saw it. Dean hasn't seen it, I guess. I saw it.
Well, he's out for the season with an Achilles. Is that what we're talking about?
Oh, come on, Dean.
No, different A-Rod.
Baseball, Dean. We're in baseball.
A-Rod.
Oh, I don't know. What is
a baseball show? This is a baseball show. Crazy.
Did he release a pic of some sort? That's kind of what did he do? I have no idea. Should I Google? Is it Googleable?
It came out in the New York Post that he ratted out PDD users, lied to Yankees. A-Rod gave 3 names to federal agents. One that really pisses me off is one of the best hitters of all time and one of my favorite players of all time, Manny Ramirez, and then Ryan Braun, and I don't know who else, but I mean everyone knew Braun got caught like his first year or something.
And he got somebody fired for it too. He threw somebody else under the bus, and he said like he got them.
I mean,
I can't remember the whole story for it, but
everyone
he had somebody else lose a
It's,
job because of his own doing. I never forgave him for that, Ryan Braun. Do you know the story I'm talking about? He put it on somebody else, and they ended up taking the fall for it.
It's something you would do in a heartbeat.
It's something I would not. Why would you assume I would do that?
Because it's right up your alley.
I'm a man of character.
Chop and I. Well, actually, Chop. I got some Chops to pulled a couple moves on me in the past that now I'm not sure what to think. But
we're just throwing everybody.
I wouldn't pull that kind of stuff on anybody.
Yeah, I'm just seeing the story now, but yeah, I saw Manny. So he just said like, "Hey, what up?" Basically, he said, "Okay, what about those guys?" Instead, that was like his defense, the old whataboutism. Like, I assume it's like he was busted.
Let me go. I'll give you 3. Even bigger names.
Well, who's bigger than A-Rod?
Well, apparently, Manny Ramirez and Ryan Braun.
I guess I don't know, but but those guys never officially. I think Manny was never officially hit. Like. I think Sosa's another guy. I don't think he was ever officially hit.
Well, Manny got caught. Manny got caught when he went to like some crazy league. Like he still or he came back. I don't know. There was something.
He played in Mexico, I think, for a while.
Yeah, he was playing and he got busted again or something. Something was going on. But like I said, these guys all do it.
Different degrees of. I wouldn't say all. I don't like to speak in like definitives, but different degrees of, and different eras do different things. Right? The greenies in the '80s. There's different stuff doctoring the ball is also a form of getting a competitive edge. If the pitchers are doing it, maybe the hitters should be allowed to do it. It's a whole thing, but it's a big conversation to have for sure. But yeah, I'm not shocked to see this story, but I'm just hearing it for the first time right now. Chop, do you have a take on this, or do you want to talk about tonight's slate? What's on your mind?
Yeah, I don't really have a take on it. I don't partake in the snitching. I'm not a snitch, Dean. I've eaten a lot of bad times because I'm not a snitch, Dean, but that's just the way it goes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, also you're an Astros fan, so you'd be a big old hypocrite if you're calling anybody else
did
out.
Some hard Chop. Tell them about the hard time you did.
Oof. I've done some bids, Dean, that were rough, man. I've spent some time in the old Mexico jail, We've done some rough bids out there, man.
Tijuana, okay.
And Dean, I don't even know what the Astros have to do with snitching. Come on, man. In fact, I would say that the Astros held tight as a group and didn't snitch. The only one that snitched was Mike Fires.
Yeah. Mike Fires hit John Carlos Stanton in the face, and I didn't like him ever since he did that. And he was mad about it. He got upset for destroying Giancarlo Stanton's face. If you remember that video when he was pitching for the Brewers, but that's a whole other thing. You were saying
whenever I give my chat about everyone doing that, it gets Chad all riled up. But it's like number one, you look at Barry Bonds' rookie card, and then you see what he developed into. It's like his neck grew greater than his head size, and then the greatest thing was around the McGuire Sosa time. That was when creatine was so bad. Everyone was saying, "Oh, it was creatine. I'm using creatine."
Well, it was in McGuire's locker. Remember, he was doing an interview.
That was
Andro.
Anderstein,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, and there was no I don't know if he was just sort of, he was oblivious, or it was just that much of an open secret, I guess. Yeah. And I think technically it might have officially been banned, right? It wasn't written in the rules. I feel like that was kind of a thing, but yeah. And also it brought baseball back, right? After the strike, everybody was like, yeah, baseball sucks. And then people loved the chase for Sosa and McGuire, and, the country rallied around that. And so baseball loved it. They won't tell you that openly, but they loved it. And they were promoting it. What's that?
Everyone's saying in chat it was milk, but then Al Horford would be huge, the face of chocolate milk for working out. Did you ever see that?
I remember he was a big fan of chocolate milk. All right. Again, two different slates. We'll talk about TK. We'll talk about FanDuel. If you have any questions specific to a site, do ask them in chat on DK. I'm giving it a refresh right now. I believe we have the number 1 and the number 2 pitchers as far as Cy Young for the National League going tonight. Strider, obviously, only on the Fanduel slates. I think he's behind. I have not updated the odds on it, but last I saw, number 1 is Zach Gallen. Zach Gallen in New York to take on the gutless Mets. Gallen is getting what we're talking about, 33% ownership for Hunter Brown, who's taking on Oakland, who's been kind of disappointing, Hunter Brown, but Oakland's pretty terrible. Clevenger getting 30% versus Kansas City, another terrible team. Gallen getting 29, you got to pay for him. Houck's getting some ownership at 19%. He's pretty cheap, taking on whatever's left of the Yankees. And then, it gets kind of ugly. Colin Ray, don't feel great about it. 15%. Kikuchi's getting 15%. I like him a bit. That Texas lineup also not what it once was, not that long ago. They're without Abaciel Garcia, and they're also without Young. They're without Leody Tavares. That's not a huge miss, but like somebody had to come in that was a downgrade. Let's see. Semien, Seager, Grossman. Grossman's our number 3 hitter. Garver, Heim running out 2 catchers. Lau, Duran, Ornelas, and Carter. Carter, the rookie's got some pop, got some speed. The left is I think he's a lefty. Who's Ornelas? Do we know who that is? Ornelas? Gonna have to Google that guy. But all right, Chop, you tell me. What were your thoughts as far as you want to go the screenshot of the slate? By all means, if you just want to jump right to pitching, go for that as well. Who's got your eye today?
Well, in regards to the pitching here, I would say that on DK, your options are much more limited. And so I do have a few guys I like, but it's not that many, and there's not a lot of separation there. Well, there's separation from Zach Gallen and everybody else. And after Zach Gallen, man, it's a mess. But if you're playing the FanDuel slate, boy, it's loaded with some good pitching, a lot of it. So, for me personally, if I was playing on FanDuel, I'd be prioritizing those stacks over there because the pitching is deep enough. I can get a bunch of different pitchers in there at all different price points. On DraftKings, you got to prioritize your pitching, man. You need 2 of them. There's really not that many great ones. There's like one that I would consider tier 1. The other decent ones are well below that, and then it's a quick drop-off after like 3 or 4 guys. So, yeah, it's the overview would be prioritize your pitching, man, on DraftKings. Make sure you're getting them in like Gallen, number 1, and then a few mid-tier guys after that, and then there's a big drop-off that we can talk about.
Hey, Chop, talk to me about Hunter Brown, reverse splits guy there facing Oakland. I saw several people in the Discord earlier today, RotoGrinders Discord, rotogrinders.com/Discord. Anybody can hang out there just as long as you have an RG account and go to the MLB room. There's an NFL room. There's a college football room. There's a room for every single sport. Almost all of them are free. There's several that are still premium, but the MLB one is free. They were talking about the A's. I see several people in our chat here on YouTube talking about the A's. Some leverage, I suppose, against Brown. I think you've been touting Brown since the beginning of the year, Chop. You like this guy, obviously a big-time prospect for Houston. He's been, I want to say he's been up and down, but mostly down of late. It hasn't been great, but Oakland's a good remedy. What's your official take on him? And also, you're getting a bit of a discount in part because he's been bad of late. 8.2K on DK.
Yeah, extremely talented guy. But like I said, like right around the All-Star break, I said he had already reached the highest limit of – he had already thrown more innings than he ever has in his career. Now we're in September, and they still got him in the starting rotation. So earlier in the year, he's faced Oakland. He's went six innings, 9 Ks, 7 innings, and 10 Ks against this team. But now we're with a Hunter Brown that's – man, he's barely hanging on here, man. So I have my concerns there. He's chalky, and yeah, I think on DraftKings, there's just so few options to me after Gallen that I think I'm going to play some Hunter Brown, but I definitely see the stackability for the A's just because he can implode here, man, and he's shown he can implode really early in games and don't even give you a chance to deploy the really good guys in the bullpen. So. It goes both ways there. I definitely think there's heavy leverage with the A's here. But I like, I got to keep him in my pool because after Gallen, who am I going to play? We could talk about some other guys in a minute.
Clevenger, Houck.
Well, that's who we'll talk about. That's who we'll talk about. But after it's so thin after Gallen. So he's in the player pool, but definitely the A's are. Lip is going to love this one today, man. The A's are definitely stackable today.
Well, once you say that, he won't.
You don't have to play. You don't. Like that's not the only way to do it. You can just have 0 and not play the A's. And they could just middle it where like he doesn't get there Brown and the A's just get 3 or 4 runs off Brown and Brown goes 5 innings and all of it's kind of worthless. Or like a little mini stack as far as the Oakland side. I was saying that what Geloff looks like a spectacular sort of leverage play. Plenty of power this year. Right on rights. We talk about Brown being reverse splitsy. The Crawford box is down the left field line there. I'm not going to fully stack Oakland, but I'm considering a little bit of a mini stack. Kirkwood, I apologize if I cut you off, but your thoughts as far as pitching in general, and let's talk about Brown because he's going to be
Brown,
popular.
I've got Brown takes. So and it's the same take I had with Wu yesterday, and Wu pitched great, and he was chalk, right? So there were some concerns with Wu, that his velocity had been down 1 to 2 ticks on everything across the board, and you get these rookies, and he was at 2 times the innings that he's ever pitched. And so I faded him last night, and I went to try to beat him, and it didn't work out. But I have the same. I think Hunter Brown is a little better. Like I think he's just extremely inconsistent. His stuff, he still has a really good fastball. It's just he doesn't have command with his with some of his breaking stuff, the curve and the slider, and but he can. It's like. He can have a good night if his command is on, and like if not, they're just going to sit fastball on him. And it's basically if his curve and slider are working, he's going to end up being just fine, and he could mow this team out. So I think it's just inconsistency is what. So there's a lot of variance tonight with him, which would make and if he's going to be chalk, means that it would make sense to do it both ways, to play against him and to have some Brown, because he certainly could dominate this A's squad.
By the way, this Jonathan or Nejas projects terrible. The guy that's jumping into that Texas lineup tonight struck out a fair bit in the minors. The bat has him projecting at 25%, striking out in the majors. It also has him as a 71 WRC plus, which is really bad. He has speed. That's about it. So a bit of a positive bump there for Kikuchi. That's kind of where I'm leaning, I think, is my SB2. And we'll have to have the Blake Snell conversation. But, the rules are, and, Dave Potts, Jesus good. He's let him out before in the past. Kind of the old Robbie Ray rule, but, he's not going to be well-owned against the Dodgers. The Dodgers are a tough organization, tough lineup. But we also know about Snell is many times he's just pitching against himself. And if he's on, it doesn't really matter who's standing in that box. Now, Snell not available on Fanduel. Fanduel cut off that San Diego Dodger game. But somebody of his ability, Kirkwood, and the ownership for Snell as of right now is 8%. 8%. I think he's really, really interesting. If you're going to go kind of chalky when it comes to hitters, I'm thinking about rolling out a Snell in a single entry, 3-entry max type lineup. Do you like that strategy?
Yeah, it's never about the matchup. Although this matchup is bad, it's about if he has his command, if his pitches are working, and he's not walking people. If he's got the fastball painting on the inside corners that he likes to do, and with it, he can be extremely good, and that's why he's the Cy Young candidate. But he's also inconsistent as well. This is a tough matchup, so this makes sense to play both sides as well. I do like the play though, and I'm just gonna go back and say I personally, if I had to choose, I think Hunter Brown's going to dominate. That's the side I think he's going to do tonight. But I get all the concerns and the rookie wall and all that stuff, but I don't think that's the case with him. I think it's just command.
By the way, good point on Snell. I forgot. I was thinking Gallen and Strider, but I forgot that Steele kind of jumped ahead of him. It's sort of a 1-1A with Snell versus Steele, but 3 of the top 4 candidates in the National League are throwing baseballs tonight. Snell was -140. So the odds-on favorite, that's the best odds you can get currently at FanDuel. Justin Steele +150. I don't know if he pitched today. I know the Cubs are playing versus the Rockies now, or maybe it's finished. Zach Gallen you can get him at 8-1, 11-1, and Strider is fully fallen back.
Gutless.
You can get him at 120-1.
He's just gutless.
He's not stashless. That stash is fabulous. It's beautiful. But yeah, I feel like he was the favorite not too long ago. But this is why they play up the string. Is Ohtani still going to win the MVP? Although he's not playing a month of the season, like he's not coming back. But I guess he's winning MVP.
I don't get into all this. I have no take. It's just I'm still stuck on whether it's going to be Mookie for MVP or
it's going to be Acuna. The odds say it's very much going to be Acuna. Yeah.
I know, but but then you'll have Alex Sonti saying that Mookie has the best WAR, so he should win.
You know what I want to do is I want to look at Mookie's numbers versus Goldie's numbers from last year, and Goldie won the MVP last year. And I feel really, really confident that Mookie's having a better year. It's not just like what you did, but what the competition did. I feel really confident that Mookie's having a much better year this year than Goldie did last year. But it's just you got to do it in the right season.
I still can't get over how bad the Red Sox blew it with Mookie. Like how they let him go is just insane.
Yeah, that was a pretty poor job by Boston's organization, and a team that theoretically has money and that will spend, and they just. What'd you get for him? Was Verdugo a part of that? Is that what, like the key piece? I think it was the key piece.
Yeah, they just took whatever they could get. It was like Verdugo stinks and great. He was just like a mid-level player. That's what they were hoping to get back. Like it's just they just tried to shine him up and say, oh, he's going to be really good. I mean, no one took there's not one person who's like that's a good move.
Yeah,
let Mookie walk and get Verdugo.
Well, did he want to stay? Is the other part of it too. But who knows?
He says he did. He says he absolutely did.
Then they blew it. If that's the case, They obviously blew it. Chop, your thoughts as far as Snell? Snell tonight at really low ownership. How many lineups you got to make until you say, screw it, I'm going to play some Snell and just not watch the game because it's the worst watching Snell and not throw strikes?
On this slate, not very many. You don't have to make very many lineups till you get to Snell. Like there's not a lot there. We haven't talked about Gallon yet, I don't think, but Brown, Snell, we know Gallon's in there, and then you said Clevenger. After that, huge drop off. So yeah, Blake Snell's in the mix here. And I'll say that, yeah, just like we've said, we're not worried about the opponent. We're worried about him in his head. If he's got his stuff, he's got it. He's going to mow everybody down. With that being said, this will be the fourth time the Dodgers have seen him this year. He hasn't pitched great against them. How's
the BVP looking on anybody?
PVT?
We get into that a little bit later. I got some thoughts on that, but
you got a couple knockers for us too.
It's knockers for the people, Chop?
Definitely got some knockers today for you. Definitely gonna flash you some knockers here later on in the show, but yeah, I mean it's just 4 times Snell's faced him, so it is what it is, man. There's just not many options, so yeah, he's definitely in the mix here.
Mr. Richards, Verdugo, Wong, and I forgot about Jeter Downs. Does he still exist somewhere? Is he in the minor leagues? I guess there are people like Jeter
they
Downs.
got Wong. Which Wong did they get in that?
Connor, I think.
The wrong Wong.
No, that's a good Wong. He's a catcher, man. He used to play for University of Houston. You got a good one there.
Shout out to Houston.
Yeah.
I prefer my Wong teasers. That's.
There you go. Where's our boy Big T? We need some Wong teasers up in here.
I was told they can't lose. Is that not the case? I don't know. I haven't been following them this year, to be honest. So, Clevenger. Do we like Clevenger? He's there. He's pretty cheap, and he's facing a bad KC team. He will be popular. Oh, I should mention this, by the way. Kevin Roth. Kevin Roth's going to be on in a half hour. We have straight orange in Boston as far as weather. Now, the blurb is the rain looks slower to clear than he'd like. My official take, this is Roth speaking, my official take is still probably a late start and eventual play, but there's some risk here. Thankfully, we have boots in the ground.
Let me give you my boots on the ground here.
Yeah.
You take this for what it's worth. All I can do is just spit the facts here. Is that I was waiting for a couch to be delivered. They show up, and it's drizzling out, and they decide that they don't want to because they got to go up to the second floor. That they want me to reschedule the appointment because of the rain. So I had to argue with them for a good 5 minutes, going back and forth and saying I'm going to call Costco, which is where I ordered it from, until they finally said, "Fine, we'll bring it in." They were trying to get out of delivering it.
Let's discuss
Because
this
of the
for a
rain.
second. First off,
Yeah.
I was going to say, yeah, luckily we got a guy who's balls deep in the Boston weather here. He's there. So
Yes.
but here's my thing about that. Let me ask you this. So it's your couch, you paid for it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Why? So I'm okay with it getting a little damp. Bring it in, guys. Why? What is their hesitation there? Why can't it's?
They did say that if they don't, they think it's going to get ruined, and they don't want to, they don't want to be on the hook for when it's get ruined. And I said, well, if it's ruined, I'm going to call Costco and I'm going to send it back. But
I got 2 questions for you, Kirkwood.
Yeah.
One, did when they found out you were part of Juggalo Nation and the people, is that what made them say, all right, I don't want to mess, we're just going to deliver it, and whatever you say, sir? Is that kind of what convinced them to deliver the couch?
Costco is great. Costco is not horrible. It's whoever they contracted to deliver this is who's gutless. And they just didn't want to bring it up. They that's all it was. They just wanted to say, "Oh, okay, push it off to someone else to do it."
The second thing, and
people don't want to work these days, Dean. We've had this. People don't want to work, man. They're lazy, Dean. I ordered a little something the other day from a store, and one of the things I ordered was a 50-pound bag of salt pellets for the thing,
A little something is really big, but continue.
50 pounds. It's a good workout. All right. This guy is probably in his 20s delivering. He's fine. Like, he can bring it up. Like, he knocks on the door. He drops off the other stuff and he goes, what do you want me to do with this bag of salt pellet? I'm like, well, I'd like for you to bring it up. That's kind of why I ordered it, so I wouldn't have to. And then that's kind of why I tipped over the online, like, extra amount, so you bring it up. And he looked at me all funny and shady, and I was like, you know what, dude? Just leave it downstairs. I'll bring it up. I wasted my tip on you, man. You're no good. People don't want to work these days, Dean.
2 things. Izzy's in chat. He says, I thought furniture was wrapped in plastic when delivered. That's the point I made to them. I said, can't you just, there's plastic, right? And they said, well, we have to break them down individually. I said, okay, so take some plastic from the thing and put it on the ground under you where you have to do it. And then that's what they ended up doing. But it's crazy that I had to go through this. But Chop has one more. Tell him about your Costco. I mean, tell him about your Craigslist for what was it, a washer dryer?
No, I'm not getting that. No, I've already erased that from my memory. Dean, let me tell you what happened on Craigslist. All right, I have to rehash it. Man, I don't even want to get into it.
Let's go there. Come on.
I had this washer dryer in my house that I wanted moved to another house, Dean, because I was done with it. I was getting, speaking of Costco, they were going to bring in a brand new washer dryer for me, but I wasn't getting rid of these. I wanted them at another house. They were going to somebody else.
Okay.
Well, they were going to my other house. Like, I have
How
a
rich
houses?
I know.
What?
Houses?
I rent out a house. I was going to. That's beyond the point, Dean.
I would have moved there.
You want a couple of million makers
And so I was like, man, how am I going to do this? And I can't find it. I don't have the vehicle. I would do it, but I don't have a washer dryer is big. You got to have a flatbed, a pickup truck.
You got to have one friend in life that has the flat.
Yeah, and that's the problem, Dean. I don't want friends anymore, so I don't really have anybody. But anyway, that's not. So I get on Craigslist and I'm like, let me see, can anybody move this for me? $100, $50, whatever. I'll pay whatever. Come on, somebody come and move this for me. And I was so like in a rush to do it that day that the guy responds, yeah, I'll be over there in a little bit. So I'm in the garage. It's in the garage waiting for him. He pulls up with his girlfriend in the passenger seat. I mean, this guy lowers the bed of the truck in 3 seconds, backs up to it fast. He goes,
professional.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Backs up to it real fast, throws it in the back of the car. As he's getting in the car, he goes, text me the address. And he's like down the street. And I'm like, oh my God, he just stole my washer dryer. How do I even know what did I just do here, Dean? It was ridiculous.
You paid him in advance in full?
It doesn't matter, Dean. He just took about $500, $600 worth of stuff, man. Oh, God, man. Like, what is happening? People don't want to work these days, Dean. They want the freebies. Don't you see these people going into Walmart and just stealing stuff and taking off? People don't want to work these days. They want the freebies.
This goes against everything I've heard about Craigslist. I thought it was a really reputable site.
Oh, you're on the other part of Craigslist, Dean.
I've had no issues.
Erotic encounters? Is that what Dean's up back in there? Is that what?
Meet
Matt
me in the
Nathal,
library.
You know, I'm from this is where it all went down. The Boston, where the Craigslist killer, when the whole that was like the craziest time in Boston out here, actually, and he was a poker player. He played poker at Foxwood, so it was like trying to, after it all came out, like trying to, like, I think I played with that guy. It was crazy.
Yeah. You guys have the Strangler? Wasn't there a Strangler once upon a time many years ago?
I don't even know that story. I don't know. I've heard of Boston.
There was one in
Strangler.
Scranton, but there was also one in Boston. You don't remember this? It's before your time, I suppose.
Yeah.
I just want this. I want this. Producer Steve, can you put a poll in the chat? Assuming everything's on the up and up and assuming they're delivering your furniture, I'm curious, what % of people tip? Do you tip the furniture guy? I'm curious if people tip. Because Chop, I think, or you were talking about, I saw Bobby mentioning, hey, just throw the guy $100. He's going to bring it up there. Maybe he's trying to get some money out of you. But I wonder if that's standard. And you never know what I was going to do it in front of all of them. There's more than one because
I was
who knows if they're sharing or not.
I was going to tip them until they pulled this move on it, and weren't going to do it. And then I was like, just deliver it, like I was like, all right, see you later. Thank you.
All right, we got actually limited time today. We got 25 minutes. Obviously crunch time is going to come on here and they're going to go around the horn and give you favorite players position by position. They're going to knock everything out. Every question that you have baseball wise, we're going to get through those as well. We're going to talk stacks. Also, we have touched on our favorite pitchers again, two distinctly different sites. Fanduel and DK, two different formats, right? Fanduel starting early, cutting off the last game. DK, just including the last 7 games. Most ambitious pitcher on the slate for you, Chop. That's you don't feel great about, but they just made the pool just because. Is it like a Braxton Garrett? Is it a Colin Ray? I like this setup for Kikuchi against this Texas lineup. It's not very good.
I don't know. Well, yeah. Okay. Now that we it looks a little bit weirder now that Grossman's batting third, and so maybe. But although I don't mind Grossman as a salary saver, but actually the most strenuous pitcher that I have in my pool is Tanner Houck. I don't know. I think the Yankees are more or less pitch around Judge, and you got a AAA team, and so yeah, basically.
What your thoughts are, Kirkwood?
Yeah, I mean, Hawk. I'm on board with. I'm not getting crazy with any of these other pitchers. I'm not playing Blackburn against Houston. No, I mean, pitcher's kind of straightforward for me tonight. I like Kikuchi. I like Clevenger. I like Gallen. I like Brown. Hawk is the cheap one, and I like Snell. That's it.
Chop, you got to.
I'm not playing Ray. I'm excited to play against Ray.
Okay.
Because he gives up so many. He's so easy to steal on. I'm calling Juggalo bomb. Juggalo Jack in a bag for Chop's boy, Jazz Chisholm. And I want to hear Chop. What are you going to say when it happens?
Not what I say. It's what Jazzy says when he's rounding third, coming to home, and he looks at the catcher and goes, "Chisholm in your face."
I don't think he says that.
That's his thing, Dean. That's his thing. You don't.
He's not looking up to God. He's looking up. He goes, "Chisholm in your face."
Contreras is not going to stand for that. We're going to start a whole scuffle if he would say something like that. But Monasterio leading off for Milwaukee today. Yelich, no revenge, still dealing with. I think it's his back out of the lineup. Weird lineup there for Milwaukee. Josh Donaldson's now a regular for him. They're rolling out. But Caratini is the catcher today, so they're rolling out 2 catchers. I guess one of those guys is DHing. We're still waiting for Padres and Dodgers. That is late, so that's the reason why we don't have that. But every other lineup, right? I believe, because, like I said, the latest game outside of Dodgers Padres is Marlins Brewers. For what it's worth, Ray is getting an opener. We're expecting him to be the long man. Trevor McGill, Slippin' Trevor, is the opener there for Milwaukee. Besides Jazz, though, is there much else to get excited about when it comes to the Marlins? Their total's below 4. There's no Soler, who's got ridiculous power. Burger Time's fine.
Burger's good. Araz is good. Bell's fine. If Sanchez is good, if Hampson gets on, he's going to steal for sure. It's a big if. That's a big if he gets on.
Yeah, I just see Miami more as like a mini stack. That's kind of where I'm at, but I'm not making a ton of lineups, so I can't see myself like playing a single entry Marlins team with like 5 Marlins. A couple, sure, why not? I like Jazz as a one-off if nothing else. Do like that call. We should give the summary as far as pitching, and I'm giving a refresh. I want to see if we have an update when it comes to ownership. And Chop, you did mention how he gets the rainbow as far as the tags. Like everybody likes him. Let me see. I think it's a Cheese. Cheese likes him as a cheapie. Looks like Noto likes him. Looks like Head Chopper. No, actually, Head Chopper did not give him the tag. Yeah, okay. And Tasteful Tides, Tim, also as a salary saver when it comes to the tags. So he's getting a lot of the tags there, getting 20% ownership. He's probably the de facto cheapie. Give me the summary, Chop, when it comes to pitching. Anything else you want to mention before we talk about bats and stacks?
Pitching a little thin on DraftKings. It's much deeper on FanDuel. And Gallon, to me, is a clear-cut number 1. And there's a small tier after him of Hunter Brown, Blake Snell, Mike Clevenger, and maybe even Tanner Houck that are playable. And after that, it's a little thin for me on FanDuel. You get the benefit, much deeper pool with Spencer Strider if you want to go there. And I love on FanDuel some Eduardo Rodriguez today. And then, oh yeah, by the way, you can even if Kyle Gibson was on the DraftKings slate, he'd be in my top 5. So Kyle Gibson's over there. And if you want to save some money, even Connor Phillips is playable over there. So it's much deeper over there.
Your thoughts, Kirk? Anything to add? Is this the most uneventful like Boston New York series? Like, does anybody care?
Yeah,
it's happening.
Only this idiot Jared Barton that I know.
He cares.
He some reason, he was chirping in chat. Yankee baseball, even though the Red Sox dominated them. The whole nobody cares. It's pathetic. I think you could play Clark Schmidt against the Red Sox. He's been pretty good lately. And I guess another guy we left. I mean, we're reaching, but like Braxton Garrett could be fine. He could be, he could be okay.
We talked about that Milwaukee lineup looking a little bit funky, and I think you're getting a few more Ks in there. Yeah, Thomas, Donaldson, Weimer cracked the lineup as well. Garrett, pretty good K guy, 27% in the season, kind of split. That's 27% versus lefties. My apologies. 22.4% versus righties, and I think we're just getting one lefty, right? Yeah, just one. South Relic dropping down to the 8 hole. So it is mostly righties they're throwing at him, but I like the skill set for Garrett. I don't think it's an amazing spot, but I think it's perfectly fine and usable. Gonna hit stacks in just a second. Do want to mention tomorrow. Tomorrow is the last day to get in on the discount for NFL specific. This is not this is a la carte. This is not when it comes to the combo, all the sports. But if you want NFL just by itself, the NFL premium, you get Chop stuff, you get Kirkwood stuff, you get my stuff, you get Noto, you get everybody, all the articles, all the videos, all the tools, lineup HQ, optimizer, yada, yada, yada. Get everything, showdown content as well. You can get $50 off if you're not an RG sub. That'll be $375 in total, and that ends tomorrow night is the last day for that sale. All right. Let's talk about stacks collectively. It's a little bit different depending on which site you're on, obviously. But on DK, myself, Tim, Head Chopper, and Squirrel Patrol, we have Houston number 1, Boston number 2, Arizona number 3, the Yankees 4, KC, and it's really spread out. It's really spread out is the long story. Outside of Houston, Houston's the pretty clear number 1, and then you can kind of like it's dealer's choice. But Chop, give me your thoughts when it comes to stacks. You do have Houston number 1 as well, as do I, as do most of us. The only one that does not have number 1 is Tim. Tasteful Tide Squirrel's got a number 1 as well. Talk about your Astros and other stacks. You don't really have to worry about ownership, I don't think.
Yeah. So on DraftKings, I do like the Astros stack quite a bit. I don't know how chalky they're going to be as a stack. They're the clear-cut number 1 stack on DraftKings. On FanDuel, you're going to get more options, a lot more options than that. But this is one of the better lineups that you could put out there. They're dusty. Like, listen, Dean, I'm part of multiple Houston Astros message boards. Okay,
Oh boy,
I'm in
humble
tune.
brag.
I'm in tune with this team. Astros fans hate Dusty's lineup construction. They hate it, and for a good reason. But today, it's not terrible. This is one of the better offensive lineups you could put out there. So, Blackburn struggles against lefties a little bit, and he threw 4 lefties in this lineup, and they've all got home run capabilities. And Singleton, yeah, just a power guy. Not great. He hasn't been great, but he has power, multiple home run in one game power. So you got that going for. I like this lineup. It's a pretty good lineup. Not the perfect lineup, but it could be better. But Dusty's, good for him. So that's the clear cut on DraftKings to me. Then I think there's a big drop off in some of these guys. Yeah, I think Boston's playable against Schmidt. I like the White Sox. I don't think they'll be played that much, and I don't mind the combination of the opener and long guy that they'll be facing. So you have that going for you. Then you start getting into pitchers who are actually fairly decent. Why do you want to, I don't want to stack against too many of these guys, but I do think Toronto could get to Montgomery today. So I don't mind Toronto as a lesser known stack. Arizona, I actually kind of like Arizona because I can go with Pham. Oh, shoot. Okay, knockers time, Dean. Got to do the knockers. I already spoiled it.
Some revenge knockers?
Oh, man. I blew that one, Dean. Knockers today, back-to-back in the order, 3-4. We're going Pham and Christian Walker. Those are my knockers. I like the Arizona stack today.
I like it.
I don't mind that they rested Carroll against the lefty. That's fine because we get Lawler up for cheap in the second hole, Ketel Marte. Even Longoria down there in the 6th spot. A notorious career lefty masher, Dean. So I like that. I like that stack. After that, it's really Pepio's pretty good. Kind of don't want to stack against him. Garrett, we've talked about. He had a great run earlier in the season where he looked like the next big thing, man. So I kind of don't want to stack against that. Clevenger, I'll be playing too much Clevenger because it's a weak slate for pitching. So for me on DraftKings, it's the Astros stack. After that, there's not a lot of stacks I love. The ones I just mentioned. It's almost a day on DraftKings with only 7 games. Dare I say it, you may not have to stack, Dean, to be profitable.
Oh, there it is.
I'm just saying you may not. Now on FanDuel is different because we got some heavy hitters on FanDuel. Right?
The Braves.
The Braves are there, but don't overlook maybe my favorite second to the Astros overall is Baltimore against a left-hander. Left-hander, that's a really good one. Even Pittsburgh sneaks in there. So there's more options on FanDuel. That is a stackable slate. But on DraftKings, you may not have to stack, Dean. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, Drew Rahm has not looked great there pitching for St. Louis. Baltimore's got a 5.5 total. Pretty good prices on those Baltimore players as well. I love Adley's price on FanDuel leading off at 3.3K. Probably going to make a little bit of a Baltimore stack for sure. By the way, you mentioned picking on Marsh for Kansas City. He's had an issue with giving up home runs despite the fact he throws baseballs in Kansas City. And now he's jumping to Chicago. Chicago, one of the best home run ballparks. Let's see, on the season, Marsh in 56 innings, 2.41 homers per 9. That's too many. And the homer and the fly balls at 21%, a lot of fly balls as well. Tricky part is the White Sox have, again, we're going to say it. I don't know. It's your bet, Kirkwood. Where are the White Sox on the gutless rankings? They're like perennially, every single day. They're top 5, I think, possibly on the podium as well. But there is some pop for sure on the Chicago side. What do you got, Kirkwood, when it comes to stacks today? And we got to hit up the Juggalo bombs. I don't know what we need as far as likes.
I appreciate
those likes.
Appreciate you giving me credit for gutless because yes, I mean I'm a big RG influencer, but everybody is using gutless and forgetting where it came from. Thank you.
I know where to give credit. And you say you're trying to paint me like I'm A-Rod.
It's like when Al Smizzle invented the term chalk. Like everybody was using it. Nobody was giving him credit, man.
That is a throwback.
Smiz. Big chocolate milk guy too.
He is. Yeah. That's whoever it over on the chocolate milk references for the show. Cash your tickets for sure.
We gotta help out Cloud LLC here. I love when people come to the chat like that. Just resigned from my job. I need some solid picks tonight. I love that.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Cloud.
No,
He's
he's gonna win. That's how you get a little bit of good mojo and you win. And then,
okay. Let's give him some winners.
He resigned, so it's not like he was fired, which would be sad. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Do you have Juggalo bombs to the people? That'll help them.
I mean, I gave one already. We can give some more. I actually like Toronto today. I know I don't like. I mean, it's a tough matchup, but you know what's crazy is their bullpen is off the charts in the season for home runs per 9. They just give up bombs. They're at 2.34 home run per 9. The next closest is LA at 1.77. Like everybody's then like around there. It's like, does everyone realize how bad I know Chop's been preaching this.
Texas, you're talking about?
Yeah, about how bad their bullpen has been.
Well, the weird thing is that Montgomery doesn't really give a ton of homers.
Exactly. So we got to get him out of there and get into that bullpen.
I'm a big believer.
Yeah.
The way baseball works is a 3-game series when 2 competitive teams go at it, that it is very, very difficult to get that third and final game as a sweep. Like that's a tough thing to do. And Texas has gone into Toronto now and taken the first 2 games. So I think Toronto comes out tonight with, just like the Astros, like they've gotten beat the first 2 games this series. So I think those teams come out and they usually put up a little something extra on that third day. So yeah, I think Toronto can run Montgomery out of there. I like the lineup against left-handers anyway.
I tried to tell you guys, nobody was listening. Kikuchi is like one of the plays in this slate. Nobody wants to hear it though. At least it sounds like you guys are sort of showing me away with it.
I like Kikuchi.
He's fine, dude. Yeah. Nobody's arguing with you, dude. You're making things up now, man.
Have you seen? I mean, Schneider's numbers are just stupid.
They're absurd, but like they're not realistic. It's nonsense.
531 ISO. You don't think he can do that against lefties? 40.
Oh, Dean. Okay, all right, Dean. I got one for you, Dean. I got one for you before we jump out of here. Yeah, we're talking about Toronto. Got to give the people a BVP suggestion of the day. We're going to keep it in Toronto now that we're here. Boba Shett.
Is that the BVP play? What is that what the analytics say for you?
Boba Shett. That's just the name that pops up on the algorithm. I'm not looking at the numbers. It's just the name that pops up. And we're in Toronto, so I figured let's drop it right now.
He's since coming back from injury. Like maybe he's still playing injured. I don't know.
Well, he also
6
had
for 14. Go ahead.
He said he had like a hammy or something too.
Yeah.
Yeah, the algorithm doesn't factor in injury, so that's if you think he's injured, don't. It's just a suggestion.
No. I think it's fine. The only thing he's not stealing bases is what he usually would steal some. He'd be the one to go for Toronto. He's just not even. You can take that off the table unless I mushed him tonight for a stolen base. But no, he just hit a bomb on the 8th. Or no, he didn't. He hit a double. But it was 14 fantasy points, so it looked like it.
Yeah, it's deceiving.
Yeah, he hasn't hit one in a while. 820.
It's been a while. Yeah, like I don't know if he's playing injured. Who knows? But he's really cheap on Fanduel. I'll give him that. He's like $3K over there, I believe. So it's kind of built into the price, I imagine. You got STL cards coming up as well as Keith Eysters, and Roth. Roth will let us know what's going on as far as that Boston game, Boston Orange, last we saw in the weather report. So super excited to hear what Roth has to say about it. They are knocking on the door. How about that? I guess I'll give my dongs in the chat. 0 for 3 yesterday. It was an 0 for day. I'll take my victory laps. I'll take my L's. Got a big old L for me. We went 0 for 3 yesterday. We're starting a new streak tonight. We'll drop the dongs in the chat during crunch time. What's up, Roth? The people want to know. I guess you'll get into it in a second, but looks like it's increased a little bit as far as the risk in Boston as the day has progressed.
I would say it just looks kind of like I thought it was going to look. And so now I'm more confident that it is at least a late start. So that's why it is at least an orange.
Quick question before we step aside and get out of here, and feel free to jump in, Cards and Keith. Somebody's delivering furniture, Costco's delivering furniture, whatever. You're getting furniture delivered to your house. You got a mover guy coming in. Do you 100% Roth? Do you tip the guy? Is that a rule? Do you make sure to tip them? Sometimes, maybe, always, never.
Are they so recently? Like I had someone deliver a bed and they were just going to leave it outside. So I was like,
Oh,
"Hey
no.
man, I'll give you $20 if you bring it upstairs with me." So we lifted it up together, and then I gave him $20. Is that? I don't know.
I actually posted this because, like, 6 or 7 months ago, we had to get a new dryer, and so I bought
Chop has one.
Chop has a
sorry,
dryer.
Not
Somebody
anymore,
driving-
brother.
Somebody on the run, still in a.
Not
in a
anymore,
truck.
Dean. Thanks for bringing it up again.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I apologize.
No,
but
so
you
we
missed the
had to
shift.
get a new dryer, and we paid a delivery fee separate from the cost of the appliance. And so I posed the question about tipping the 3 guys that came to.
I don't think so. I don't think
So,
I tipped that.
The overwhelming response was yes, and I'm an
Hey.
asshole if I don't.
I don't know. Eh.
Well,
So
here, let me just.
You got to tip the group, by the way. If you tip one guy, he might keep it to himself, and like 2 are like, "Oh, what a big jerk," and the one guy's like, "I got $20."
So
You got to do it as a whole thing.
Today, I had a couch delivered from Costco, and they say that they deliver it in and they set it up for you. It was, they contract that to do that. And the guy didn't want to bring it in because it was a little bit, drizzling outside, and they tried to get me to reschedule. And I was like, no, I had the baby with me. It was crazy. Waited all day there, everything. And I was going to tip them once I got them and told them, like, why don't you just lay plastic down, like right in, like before you carry it up. And they had a, plastic. And I didn't tip them because, I was going to, but I didn't. And I don't even know if I should have tipped them in the first place. I would have, because I just.
Well, why didn't you? Was the guy a jerk and you didn't? Or.
Well, they were jerks. They tried to get me to reschedule and not want to bring it up. And I had to fight them for like 20 minutes and, to bring it up. And so it was crazy, but I would have tipped them. But I don't even know. I mean, but I guess there's question on whether you're even supposed to anyway, since they're contracted and paid to do that anyway. But I don't know. I always tip.
We could have this conversation until lock, but that's probably not going to help the people. I'll tell you that.
Anything else, Chop and Kirkwood, before we step aside and get out of here?
Just one thing is eating away at me, Dean, before I get out of here. One thing,
What's
I'm looking at the beautiful screen with our 6 pictures
the
on
green
there,
screen.
and we're so close to perfection here. And
Here's the deal. So if I use the virtual background, it slows down the whole computer and it like locks everything up. So
have you tried it since restarting? Have you tried it since you finally restarted?
No, I haven't. I haven't given that a shot yet. So
I mean,
that's it.
the other 5, all 5 of us have gotten it to work, and we're all boomerish to some degree at this stage. We're all getting old, so you gotta get the tech, Roth.
Nah, I'm good. No, I'm sticking with these
You know
headphones.
what? Weather
Sticking
is
with-
fine. Green background for weather, that's fine anyway.
I know it's cool. Yeah.
Didn't you once upon a time show off like radar on the screen behind you, or is that a thing, or is that still
a thing? But again, it was one of those things that was probably more effort than it was really worth, but it was kind of cool. But I did used to do that, yeah.
All right, we got to go. The people want to know as far as weather in Boston. They want you guys to break down the Fanduel slate, the DK slate, myself, Chop, and Kirkwood. Thank you. Now it's the Fanduel sponsored Crunch Time. Rolf, take it away.
Good stuff as always. Welcome to it, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed. It's our show. It's Crunch Time. It's sponsored by FanDuel. The key to this show is 2 of the sharpest minds in the biz. We got STL Cards in the house. What up, Cards?
Not much. Should be an interesting night here. We've got a little change of plans with the slate. So FanDuel's throwing us a curveball with the earlier start, but I actually like the FanDuel slate a lot better tonight. I think they made the right move.
Yeah.
By starting it at 6:35 or 6:40, whatever it is. So
It adds a bunch of games. It's not just like one game. It's what, 3 or 4?
Yeah, there's 4. There's 4 games that start here at 6:35, and then FanDuel did leave off the one solitary late game, which is fine. I think that their slate actually makes more logical sense tonight, and yeah, it's like 10 games. So
very good. Okay, well, excited to kind of dive into it. We got my boy Keith Eyster, aka the Iceman, in the house as well. What up, Ice?
Not too much. It's always difficult doing these shows and breaking it down when the sites are different, but we'll do the best we can. Obviously, we'll try to know which site that player is available on, but definitely makes delivering the content a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, so we'll spend a little bit more time explaining, all right, this is what we're doing on FanDuel, this is what we're doing on DK, because it's essentially two entirely different slates, right? I mean, it's very, very different. So we're going to make sure that we get that to you. We got to start with some weather. That is similar no matter what slate you're playing, because there's really only one game that I care about, or at least that I'm worried about. That's in Boston. It is just definitely a late start. There's no doubt soon they're going to either announce a late start or they're going to announce a postponed game. They are not going to start on time. I am of the mindset that I think they'll probably wait it out and get this game in maybe 2 hours or so after scheduled first pitch. That's not some sort of, like lock. That's definitely what's going to happen. They could throw in the towel. They could decide they don't want to be patient. My guess is a late start and play, but I don't feel super confident the way I did 2 days ago, where I was pretty damn sure they were going to postpone that game. This one's a little bit closer on the line. I think certainly for tournaments, if you have some interest here and you want to stack up one of these teams or you want to play a pitcher here, I don't think you're crazy for going for it. And we'll see. There's still a chance that they postpone the game in the next, hour or whatever leading up until lock. So we'll see what happens. But that's my current thought. Does that work for you guys? That's the best I got right now.
If they do start it, is there any chance of an in-game delay?
So yes, but I'd say it's pretty slight. But there is one forecast model that clears things out maybe at 8 as opposed to at 9. But the downside to clearing it out a little bit early is that you now have a better chance of getting caught by something around 9. So there is a world where they could start it and then delay it. I think you're really digging into the less likely outcomes at that point. I don't think that's a very likely outcome, but I can't rule it out, essentially.
Fair enough.
That good? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That's the best I've got for now. We'll see. Sometimes things change, and maybe 30 minutes from now, I will have like a light bulb certainty moment, but we'll see what happens. In the meantime, let's kind of dig into this slate. We like to start talking about some of the pitchers, and I think we'll let Cards lead us off. Cards.
Yeah, so just real quick on that game, it's a Red Sox Yankees game, so they're going to play the beer sales game, and wait to announce the delay and then sit around for a while. And
is it on national TV or not? I know it was the other night.
Almost every Red Sox Yankees game is on somewhere.
It just feels big enough that they're going to wait it out this late in the season.
It just means more when it's the Red Sox and the Yankees, they say. So the other factor is I don't believe it actually is a national TV game today. Tomorrow's is. So yeah, the other factor is that this series does continue into tomorrow. So they could decide to just play a doubleheader tomorrow, play the rescheduled game during the day. So that's very possible. Otherwise, we'll just we'll see what happens once we get a little farther down the line, closer to lock here. But pitching tonight is definitely a little different depending on where you're playing, because if you're playing on FanDuel, you have Strider available. If you're playing on DraftKings, you do not have Strider available, but you do have Blake Snell, who is not on the FanDuel slate. So those are probably the two highest upside pitchers on the slate, with the exception that Snell is facing the Dodgers. So it just gets a little bit tricky. So if we're just focusing on FanDuel first, Strider is going to project as the SP1. It's weird for me to say it, but I don't love it. Strider has not looked Strider-esque of late, which he has to give you that ceiling to pay off an 11.8K price tag. The home runs have remained a problem. The command was a problem last time. And I mean, he just got absolutely shelled by the Cardinals, which doesn't happen very often this year. So I'm a little bit worried about Strider. I mean, it's not like Philly's a cakewalk. They are projected for 4 runs. He could easily strike out 12 guys and be the highest scoring pitcher on the slate. But I don't think you need Strider. The other chalk play in terms of the projections is going to be Hunter Brown. Another one that I'm just a little bit nervous about. The form since the All-Star break hasn't been very good. Oakland's been a little bit more pesky offensively. I'm not going to fault you. I think in cash games, you can certainly play Strider or Brown. But I think this is the perfect night to get different in GPPs. I like Zach Gallen. I like Eduardo Rodriguez, who is only on FanDuel as well. Mike Clevenger had his best start of the year his last time out and has been striking more guys out. Kikuchi's always a guy that's got some upside. So the chalky cash game guys are Strider and Brown. I don't love either for GPPs. Even Connor Phillips, a rookie for the Reds, who's got some strikeout stuff, I think is viable in tournaments. So it's a really tricky night for me because I don't love the two pitchers that project the best. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's a good night to get a little different in tournaments.
Okay, great. And does that go for DK as well, or are we talking a whole new ball
No,
game?
it's not that much different because on DK you don't have Strider, so that's going to put probably even more ownership to Hunter Brown, who again, I think you play him in cash games and move on, but I am going to be underweight in GPPs. Gallen has a little more value over there. And even Snell in tournaments. I mean, Cheese mentioned this in his article. You never want to play Snell when he's chalky because his biggest enemy is himself. So in good matchups, I don't love playing Snell when he's chalk, but in bad matchups, he is interesting for tournaments. So even against the Dodgers, I think you can play Snell on DK in tournaments.
So, Cards, I guess I'm having a little bit of trouble trying to pinpoint, like, do you have a favorite pairing? And let's say on DK, are you fading like the Hunter Browns of the world over there?
Yeah, I mean, I think in cash games you play. Let me pivot. I'm pivoting my screen over from FanDuel to DraftKings right now. But so in cash games, I think I'd probably play Gallen. A Gallen I like in any format. So he's my top guy. So in cash games on DraftKings, I would probably play Gallen and Hunter Brown. In GPPs, I prefer the pivot from Brown to Clevenger. Tanner Houck for Boston is another guy that'll get interest as an SP2 on DK. I kind of avoided him for now, given the weather concerns. But yeah, Gallen is the guy you can play in any format. Brown is a cash game. He's fine against Oakland, but he's the guy I would not play in GPPs at that ownership.
Perfect. Got it. All right. We got Dean's official dogs, Zach Geloff, Luis Roberts, and Jonathan Singleton are the Dean's dongs. We're going to have to get some Eyster Splicers coming up as well in a little bit. It's one of my favorite ones. And, of course, some H&R block bombs of the night from STL Cards. Ice, let me kind of hear your pitcher pool. And I'm thinking maybe some of these top-tier pitchers are going to come in super low owned. Are you interested in that or no?
Yeah, so I'll start on FanDuel where we have Strider available. That's obviously a huge decision point. Cards mentioned his struggles a little bit. So I think because he's still projecting to be the highest owned pitcher on the slate, he's still extremely expensive. Like if we were getting 10K Strider on FanDuel, I think you just jam him in and you know that he can rack up 9 or 10 strikeouts in any matchup. Mm-hmm. Given that he's still premium price and getting all the ownership, I'm comfortable pivoting away from that. I do like Gallen, gets a huge ballpark upgrade going into Citi Field. But there's other guys here that I think have as much upside as Gallen that are getting even less ownership. I'm talking like less than 5% here. Eduardo Rodriguez gets the Reds, who are getting a huge ballpark downgrade. They have one of the best home run parks in baseball. They're going into Detroit, which is one of the absolute worst home run parks in baseball. They have struck out a ton in the second half of the season here. Like they called up all the kids. They got red hot for a while, and now they've kind of all like the league is adjusted to the rookies, so they strike out a ton.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Absolutely. So Eduardo Rodriguez, I think, has a ton of upside. Under 5% owned. I'm happy taking some shots there. Jordan Montgomery against Toronto. Toronto has not shown any power whatsoever against left-handed pitching. Now they also do not strike out at all. So you need a very deep outing from Jordan Montgomery here. He's not a guy that has a typically extremely high pitch count, so that one's you're walking a tightrope with that Jordan Montgomery thing. But I could see 7 clean innings out of Jordan Montgomery. Not a huge strikeout guy, not a good strikeout matchup, so probably only getting 5-6 strikeouts from him. But he's in play just because I think he can give you some length here. Mm-hmm. Kikuchi, I think, on the other side of that game is an excellent option. Texas is rolling out a little bit of a watered down lineup. They lost Young for the season. Taveras was late scratch, so just not as strong of a Texas lineup as we are used to seeing. Kikuchi's been really good here recently. I like the price on Clevenger as well, and I love his matchup against Kansas City. So that's really the guy I'm looking to go overweight on. Just he's the cheapest of the bunch that I've mentioned so far. If you need something cheaper than that, I don't mind Tanner Houck, but on FanDuel here, we have Connor Phillips available. He's only made one major league start. He has shown some strikeout ability, but he gets a matchup with Detroit, who strikes out a ton. And I mentioned the ballpark upgrade there, great pitchers park in Detroit. So Connor Phillips, if you need something really cheap, I prefer him over Tanner Houck.
Okay, great. A lot of options. I want to get your thoughts on DK, and I will start with what Jeffrey says in the chat. Will Smith and Max Muncy are out. So now Snell is going to project better, and maybe the ownership is going to start climbing there.
I still think people are just going to see Dodgers and run away from it.
Yeah.
Like, people don't like to play Blake Snell anyway, because like it is so frustrating to watch him. He'll walk 3 guys in a row, but then he has the ability to come back and strike out the next 3 guys. So I think Snell is a phenomenal tournament play. I hope the ownership doesn't climb too high. That's part of the appeal in playing him. It's obviously a horrible matchup here against the Dodgers, but a weaker lineup, and you're just chasing strikeout upside with Blake Snell. I do like him quite a bit as a tournament play today. I mentioned Kikuchi and Montgomery on FanDuel, very much in play for me on DraftKings here. Kikuchi picking up a little bit more ownership on DK, but still very viable. You're going to get a lot less ownership on him than guys like Brown and Clevinger. I think I'm just staying away from Houck. Like, I know he's the cheapest option I would consider probably, but with you add in the weather risk and then like the Yankees power in Fenway Park, it's a tough situation. I'm probably staying away from Houck, which means there's not a lot of pitchers that you can save some money on. Clevinger is in the pool for that reason. I just love the price tag on Clevinger. I will play some Hunter Brown as well, just because of the matchup against Oakland. But Kikuchi and Montgomery, I think my favorite pivots. Blake Snell as a guy that you can certainly pivot off of Gallen at the top.
Okay, very good. We're going to talk about some bats, but first, a comment from Jeffrey in the chat. He says, "Hey, I wanted to take a moment to thank the best minds in the biz." I didn't use my usual tagline. You're right. That's my bad. He had a big night last night. I think he took down 10K.
Yeah, he won the 121, so congrats.
Just awesome stuff. We love to see that. And thanks for giving us a little shout out. Happy to be a part of that. We're happy to help. We want everybody to have a big night every night. So it's awesome when we have some folks in here that do. Let's talk about some of these bats and some of these stacks. Is there chalk here? Is there chalk?
No, I don't really think that there is. And it's because all of these pitchers are just kind of decent. Like, nobody's like we're super excited to play, but they're all skilled. So there's really no offenses that are popping off the page here. No massive totals, like a couple of teams right around 5, but really nothing much above 5. I guess Houston, and Houston on DK in particular, where we don't have Atlanta, I would say is the chalkiest spot. But I'll just kind of go through them by site, since Atlanta is kind of certainly the top option on FanDuel where they're available. Yep. But they have a tough matchup. Christopher Sanchez is an above average pitcher. But it's the Braves. Like, they're the best offense in baseball. Anytime they're on a slate, I feel like they should be the number 1 option. Houston, that I mentioned, is my number 2 team on FanDuel. Paul Blackburn, the control's kind of been off a little bit here recently. It's like the ballpark is great there in Houston. And Houston is just really getting healthy here, and they have been just putting up runs in bunches. Blackburn has kind of transformed his career. He's now at least an average strikeout guy, but he's still not a guy who's going to go out there and strike out a bunch of these Astros. Really like this matchup for Houston. Baltimore would be 3rd for me on FanDuel. Drew Rahm just has not been able to tap into any of that upside. Baltimore is an elite offense. Really like this matchup for them. Arizona on FanDuel against Lucchesi. Lucchesi, just there's some talent there, but he has struggled in the minors this year, hasn't pitched much in the majors. Arizona sets up really well against him. And then Pittsburgh would be my 5th team on FanDuel. They get a matchup against a guy making his major league debut, and he's not even a strong prospect. So Pittsburgh is not an offense we typically like to target as one of our top on the slates, especially when they're at home in that pitcher's park. But this matchup against Rutledge, I think, is very good for them. Pivoting over to DK, we don't have Atlanta available, so Houston takes the top spot. Still like Atlanta. Love this matchup. Arizona. Love the matchup for Arizona against Lucchesi. Then I think you got to look at this Boston-New York game pretty hard. Kevin sounded like he was pretty confident that it's going to play, at least a good enough chance that it's going to play.
Yeah.
Okay,
I don't know about that.
want
Pretty
to put-
confident. I'm not pretty confident about anything here, but I think I would bet that it plays, but I don't feel like super confident in that.
Fair enough. I mean, when we're talking about tournaments here, I'm comfortable like just taking, like, you want to stack the game. I would stack Boston and New York both in the same lineup. At very minimum, use 5 hitters from one side or the other. Anytime you're playing these guys, make sure that the only in stacks button is checked on Boston and New York. But I do like both sides of Boston, New York. Great hitters park there in Fenway. And then the Marlins would be the 5th team for me on DraftKings here. I'm not scared of either of the pitchers. Like Milwaukee is doing this weird opener thing. McGill probably goes 2 or 3 innings. We're expecting Colin Ray to be the piggyback guy there. Neither of those guys scare me much. So I do like Miami quite a bit as well.
Nice. Our guy Butthole Jenkins in the chat actually brought up Miami and was curious if you like that play. So good to hear them getting some love. Okay, Cards, you're up here. Stack wise, do you have similar thoughts?
Yeah, it is pretty similar. I mean, on FanDuel, I probably even like Baltimore a little bit more, just in terms of their stack upside, because Drew Rahm's command has been so shaky since he got called up. It is a revenge narrative for Drew Rahm. If you're into that, he got traded from the Orioles to the Cardinals at the trade deadline in the Jack Flaherty deal. So he obviously has, the book on the Baltimore guys, and they probably have the book on him. So interesting to see how that shakes out. For what it's worth, he did face the Orioles minor league team after the trade and pitched like 7 shutout innings against them. So if you think he's got the book on him, then you can avoid him. But I do like Baltimore quite a bit, and I would maybe throw the White Sox in the stack mix as well. Otherwise, I pretty much agree with what Keith mentioned.
Okay, great. We want to go around the horn. We want to get some players. We want to take your questions. We want to give some home run picks. But first, a word from our wonderful sponsor, FanDuel. It's kind of a long word, so just hang with me. It's the first time I've done this read. Hey, make sure you're signing up. Crunch Time, by the way, presented by FanDuel. Get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed, plus $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube TV when you bet $5 on any Week 2 game. For new users in Arizona, Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Louisiana, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, and Wyoming. Terms and conditions do apply. Must be 21 and up. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. That is the new read. Oh, look at that. We got a nice little graphic for it, too. All right, boys. Daniel says, anybody know if we're getting rained out in Boston, boys? I would be the one to ask here. I'm the guy to ask in that. My best guess is that they late start for 2 hours and they play probably a little bit after 9 o'clock. But guess is the key word. I don't have a super strong take. This is definitely what they're going to do. They can kick it to a doubleheader tomorrow. It's just how patient do they want to be? They can play tonight if they want to wait a few hours, or they can do a doubleheader tomorrow. And I don't get to make that call, so I don't know what they're going to choose. With that out of the way, let's go around the horn. And we'll start it off with our guy STL Cards in the catcher position. Cards.
Yeah, so we'll try to keep this a little bit brief since FanDuel locks in 15 minutes. So Rutschman on FanDuel, my top play there against a weak lefty. You can go a little bit cheaper here tonight. If you're not on Clevenger, the Royals catcher eligible guys are hitting 3-4 tonight. Melendez and Perez, so you can certainly play them if you're not on Clevenger. Otherwise, it's a relatively weak position for me on DraftKings, where most of the guys you want to play are a little bit too expensive. So I don't mind going cheaper. Endy Rodriguez would be my preferred play at 2,900. He's 2,400 on FanDuel, playable there as well. I'm with Keith. I like Pittsburgh as a stack tonight, particularly on FanDuel. That works well if you're trying to get Strider into your lineups. Austin Wells is hitting 5th for the Yankees, so he's viable as well. Probably a position where I'm just going to go cheap tonight or play somebody in my stack, because with Rutschman not available on DK, it's pretty slim pickings.
Very good. All right. I don't know if we lost Ice or if we just lost.
I'm still here. My camera just started doing this weird thing. It did this to me recording the morning grind last night as well. It's already done it to me once. I'll get it back in just a second here, but I'll go ahead and give my catcher plays and work into first base, and then I'll get the camera back. But I'm still here.
All right. What are we doing to catcher?
Yeah, I like the Royals guys, even though I'm playing some Clevenger. Just a lot of upside for the catcher position there. Texas is certainly a place that I'm looking. Kikuchi can still give up home runs. Jonah Heim and Mitch Garver there. If I'm punting on DraftKings, there is some weather risk there, but Austin Wells for the Yankees, I like him hitting in the 5th spot.
Okay. First base.
Okay, so on first base here on let's see. On FanDuel, you have Ryan Mountcastle against a lefty. Always love that spot. Tristan Casas in the weather game there in Boston. Anthony Santander, another Baltimore bat that I really like. Over on DraftKings, where we don't have the Baltimore guys, Freddie Freeman is available only on DK. Certainly don't mind him. It's lefty-lefty, like nobody's playing him. Pete Alonso, always a fantastic option, even in a tough matchup against a guy like Zach Gallen. My favorite play at the position is Christian Walker against the lefty Joey Lucchesi.
Okay, great. Just looking at the latest models, clearing most of the rain clear by 9, but still maybe some even lingering a bit later than that. I don't know. It doesn't change a whole lot, but I'm just not confident in the outcome in Boston. Like that's just the best I can tell you. All right, Cards, what are we doing at first base?
I mean, the Boston game isn't enough of a necessity where you have to do it. If you're uncomfortable with it, then just pivot off of it. So, based on what Keith said earlier, the only thing I would do is maybe throw a couple stacks and multi-entry builds at this point. So, just to add the guys that Keith mentioned, I like all those guys, of course. You've got Matt Olson and his 51 homers, 52 homers, whatever it is now. Can't keep track because he hits one all the time. Even lefty against Sanchez, that might keep him a little under-owned. Of course, you can only play him on FanDuel, as well as Dom Smith, who's hitting 3rd for Washington at 2,400. Those would be a couple value guys. Totally like the Walker call, particularly on DraftKings, because the position is obviously a little weaker over there. I can throw Alec Burleson in that FanDuel mix as well at 2.3K.
Very good. Second base.
All right. So Ozzy Albies on FanDuel is going to be the top overall play. You can get McKinstry against the rookie or G1 Bay if you want to go a little bit cheaper. Again, you can't get any of those guys on DraftKings, where Altuve is probably going to project as the best option, which he's fine. I mean, the second base is one of the positions I think you can potentially fill in last because I don't have a strong take as to whether or not you need to spend at the position. Davis Schneider has gotten really expensive, and he's going to regress at some point. Ketel Marte, I think, is really good as well. Gleyber Torres if the weather holds out, but I'm not banking on that at this point.
Okay, great. Ice, your thoughts at second?
Yeah, completely agree. It's Albies on FanDuel. Altuve is a great option as well. Very expensive, but certainly tons of upside. Love Ketel Marte against the lefty as well. Zach Geloff, one of Dean's dongs there against Hunter Brown, who's been reverse splitsy this year. Like that call quite a bit. Let's see here. Certainly don't mind Gleyber Torres if you're good with the weather there. And Davis Schneider is a guy not a ton of people are going to play because he's so priced up, but he's been just awesome since coming up. Nice tournament play there.
Okay. How about third base?
All right, so let me go back to FanDuel here real quick just to make sure I don't miss any guys there. Monasterio grabbed the leadoff spot for Milwaukee. He's really cheap on FanDuel. Certainly going to be popular in cash games. Probably a tournament fade for me. Paying up for Austin Riley is always a great idea against a lefty. I like Jordan Westberg hitting 5th for Baltimore in that lineup. Moncada in a White Sox stack is fine. Going over to some DraftKings, different guys. Let's see here. I don't know that there's any. Jake Berger, somebody I really like, didn't mention him yet. And Machado is certainly always in play.
All right. Cards, your thoughts at third?
Yeah, again, another position that's going to be stronger for you if you're playing on FanDuel. Riley and Devers, weather pending, Hayes at the top, all great options. On DraftKings, there's some Josh Donaldson, lefty masher, that's mashing, almost nothing these days. And so has now been added to the Brewers because that's what they do. And somehow they're going to make the playoffs. But Donaldson, if you want to hold on to the old lefty masher skills, at least Garrett doesn't strike a ton of guys out. I mean, he is cheap, so I don't love it. But if you're struggling to find an option on DraftKings to fit with the salary, you could do worse than Donaldson at he's 3.9K. Moncada, Berger I like as well. Longoria against the lefty could be used as a value play. Throw Gunnar Henderson in the mix on FanDuel.
Okay. Derek pointing out, hey, we got 500 people watching. Get those likes up for this free content. He's right. This content, we want to keep it free for you, but it needs likes, it needs eyeballs, it needs subscriptions. So make sure you're hitting that thumbs up for us. We would appreciate it. Let's take it to shortstop cards.
Yeah, so this is a tough spot because I've got so much Clevenger that I don't really want to play Bobby Witt. I mean, he's going to grade out as the top projection because shortstop is a little bit weaker than you might expect tonight. A lot of the top end plays are facing pretty good pitchers. So, I mean, I'm fine with it. I don't think you need to prioritize it. I like the White Sox stack, so we're probably going to do the Tim Anderson thing and get disappointed for the 60th time this year. Jeremy Pena on FanDuel at 2,700, and he's got the bump up to number 2 in the order tonight. I think is fine. I don't love him as much at 4,400 on DK, but you're also dealing with a smaller slate on DraftKings. So, you know, even if he fits your lineup on DK, that's fine. Just because the options are so thin there. Have a little bit more of guys like Bo Bichette on DraftKings, just because the options are pretty weak, and that's where I tend to find myself with a little more Tim Anderson as well.
Makes sense. Ice, your thoughts at short?
Yeah, Pena would be my top guy here. I'd play him over Anderson. You can play Westberg at short on FanDuel, who I mentioned at third as well. Bobby Witt, if you can get up there in your non-Clevenger lineups. Love Bo Bichette as a pivot up at the top. And then Jordan Lawler is a promising prospect for the Diamondbacks, who is in the 2-hole tonight against the lefty. So I like Jordan Lawler might be my preferred punt over even guys like Anderson and Pena.
Okay. How about the outfield?
Okay. So we have the Houston guys are awesome here. Jordan Alvarez, Kyle Tucker. Really like this matchup for Jazz Chisholm. His first at bat's going to come off of McGill, who has really struggled against lefties. Certainly not afraid of Colin Ray coming in behind McGill. Acuna on FanDuel, certainly amazing. Eloy Jimenez is cheap. Certainly like him. Jack Sawinski is one of my favorite Pirates, even though he strikes out a ton, but the Rutledge guy hasn't shown a ton of strikeout upside in the minors, making his major league debut. So I like Sawinski here. The Baltimore guys on FanDuel, Santander being my favorite option there. Can always play Tyler O'Neill in a tournament for some big power.
Okay, Cards, what are you doing in the outfield?
Yeah, I agree on Sawinski. He's one of my favorites on FanDuel there at 2,900. Strikes out a ton, but I don't think that this is a matchup we got to worry about that. So hopefully he can show off that power a little bit tonight. Trying to just find a few other guys. Tommy Pham is a guy I really like a lot. Good splits against lefties. He's moderately affordable on both sites, so I'm fine with him. Keith mentioned O'Neill. I think Lars Nootbaar is fine as well for the Cardinals. On FanDuel, Hunter Renfroe, 2,500 hitting cleanup. Even though I don't love picking on Erod, he would probably be my favorite bat from the Reds tonight. Let's see. Agree on Houston. I prefer Alvarez over Tucker if you're spending, given the splits. I think Eloy Jimenez is a strong play on both sites as well.
Okay, guys, we only have about 4 minutes here until lock. Jean-Sebastien Roy says, Keith, nailing it as usual. I think Keith pays people to just hang out in the chat. Good job, pal. I really like when you're on the morning grind with Stevie. Oh, that's nice. That's a kind thing to say.
We will be recording the football morning grind shortly after this. I think we're going live at 8 o'clock, so a little earlier than normal. Just a quick
Very nice. Okay, make sure you guys are checking that out as well.
Is it really a morning grind if you're taping it at 8 p.m.?
It's the evening grind. It's a little deceiving.
Yeah, I mean, they like recording it at night and then posting in the morning is kind of how it's always been done. But now that we do it live, it's definitely not just a morning grind anymore.
Yeah, it may need to be renamed. We may need to consider
have
that.
the official delay in Boston too, as well. By the way.
Okay, and I guess that's a good sign. Like we knew that was happening, but there was also a chance that they were just gonna bang it right there. So. Still just kind of think they're going to play, but it's going to take a few hours.
They got to wait They got to wait at least an hour to postpone anyway
to sell some beers.
That's right. You got to get the money first. Okay, hey, let's dive into some home run picks. We only have 2-3 minutes until lock. Cards, you can go first.
Yeah, so really like that Jack Sawinski call tonight. He's like plus 375-ish a lot of places. So it's not like you're getting super crazy odds on him, but Sawinski I like. Eloy Jimenez, you can get north of plus 500. I like that quite a bit as well. Pham, who I just mentioned in the outfield, is around the same odds. So yeah, there's 3 picks from the outfield guys that I just mentioned. We'll see if we can hit on one of those.
Nice. Okay. A few Eysters Fleisters for us here, Ice.
Yeah, so Cards went Pirates and Diamondbacks. I'm that's right where I'm at too. I'm going Brian Reynolds against the rookie Rutledge and Christian Walker against the left-hander. Always love him in that spot.
Excellent. All right, let's get a few QQs. The OMG father says, "Hey Roth, are bats okay in Boston? I would not call them safe. I think they'll probably end up playing this game, but if there's a similar pivot, especially if it's a one-off, just play the other dude. If you want to stack it up and try to win a tournament, by all means, I'm not against it. But there's a legitimate chance that they're just like, yeah, well, it rained until 9:30 and we don't want to play. Like that is absolutely possible that could happen. So just keep that in mind here. Let me dive into a few more QQs. Jump into the RotoGrinders Discord. That's where the cool kids are hanging out right now. We'll go to Boolies. He says, Ice, is it worth taking a shot on Marsh against the White Sox in a large field GPP? Or is it better off taking the White Sox against Marsh?
I mean, I would prefer the White Sox against Marsh, but because Clark Schmidt and Tanner Houck are not necessarily safe because of the weather there, I don't think it's the most crazy thing. We know the White Sox have been extremely disappointing for 2 solid years now. So, like, if you need a super cheap pitcher, I don't think it's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, Falcor in the next question says, like, can I play him at pitcher and then full stack Baltimore and Atlanta? Like, get the bats. And
I would not do it on FanDuel. That's a DK only play. Like Baltimore's only on FanDuel, so not a FanDuel play. I don't think it's crazy on DK though.
Okay, all right, noted. All right, FanDuel Cash Cards. I'm coming to you for this 3v3: Hunter Brown, McKinstry, and Jazz, or Clevenger, Bregman, Adley.
I do the second one.
Great. FanDuel Cash question. Ice, back to you. Acuna, McKinstry, or Tucker Witt?
First one.
Rocky Raccoon says the Phillies will win 9-3 tonight. Baum will hit a 3-run homer in the 5th. I have spoken. Okay, we appreciate the specifics of that take. It's on record, so we'll see. Pete Peters says, Cards, can you pivot to Braxton Garrett from Clevenger in a DK GPP, or stay with Clevenger for only $200 difference?
Yeah, I would stay with Clevenger. We really haven't seen the Ks from Garrett, especially in the second half. He might be tiring a bit. I know the Brewers are a team that, there are some Ks in that lineup, but Clevenger has been in the better form of late. So I would, despite the salary, stay with Clevenger.
Boss Bro says, hey, is that delay good for New York? I don't think it changes anything, really. It was going to be a late start at best. Now it's a late start, so it doesn't change a whole lot. We've hit the lock, at least the first lock, but we still have some content to get you. We're going to take a few more QQs here because we're not quite done. Let's see. Yeah, there's that delay coming through on the alert. And I do have to note, with football going on, I bet we've got some kind of fantastic deal for y'all. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick. Here we go. Yeah, it's here. We're ready. We're going to help you out. Let us handle the legwork. You can work less, win more this NFL season. Get access to everything we have to offer at a special discount available only to those without a RotoGrinder subscription. You are the lucky ones. You can get a full season sub, $50 off, limited time price of $375. I think this sale ends this week, so make sure you are taking advantage of that while you can. And I will get in a few more QQs. Let's see. Cards, is Garrett Gallen a good way to start a DK GPP build?
Yeah, Gallen's fine. I'm just not on Garrett. I don't see the appeal. I don't see the ceiling, particularly since the Marlins tend to be more cautious with pitch counts than other teams, and the strikeouts have been down. So Gallen is fine. Garrett would only be a cash play for me.
Okay, great. Could be Travis says, Ice, your favorite stack to get overweight if you're building 150? I actually said stacks if you want to name a couple.
So I think Arizona would be the one I would be most overweight on. Like their pricing, really like the spots for Marte and Walker. Pittsburgh, if you're on FanDuel, and let's see, Miami would be the other one I'd be well overweight on.
Nice. Okay. Rukin Verde says cards using Gallon in a DK GPP, Clevenger, and JD Martinez or Pepois. Am I misunderstanding this? Pepio and a slightly cheaper outfielder.
Yeah, I'm going to need that question again because it didn't make any sense.
I got it. Clevenger and JD Martinez or Pepio and a slightly cheaper outfielder.
Yeah, I'd play the first. Well, I don't. I mean, in GPPs, JD Martinez is absolutely fine against Snell. Yeah, I'd play the first one.
Okay. Steve says, hey, Roth, are we finally done with the triple digits in Texas? My sweaty balls are done. I think so. I think we finally have a cold front coming through, hopefully.
Roth was like, can I read that?
Sweaty balls. Let's see. Andrew says, hey, is the Boston game going to play or not with this delay? Again, the delay doesn't change anything. This was a late start at best all the way through. I do think they're probably going to wait 2 hours and eventually play, but that's not a lock. You know, they could postpone it. It wouldn't shock me. So I don't know, but I think they're going to play. Gallon or Schmidt in a FanDuel GPP Ice? Gallon or Schmidt?
I mean, wildly different pricing, obviously. Because of the weather risk, I think I'd just roll with Gallon and find some cheap bats to fit in there.
Okay. MT Red Sox Ice says on DK, is the slate small enough over there to play a batter against a pitcher? I'm thinking about, this is fun. I'm thinking about Betts as a one-off against Snell.
I mean, you're using up a lot of salary for guys that you need to be pretty perfect. I don't know. Like, even if Betts homers off of Snell, like, you need more than that at Betts' price. So I like more than 4 games. I really don't generally do that.
And I guess I've never considered that it's not just the amount of games, but also the price of those players.
Yeah. Like a cheap pitcher against Snell or a cheap hitter against Snell, I think is totally fine. But when you're talking a premium outfielder, like Betts needs 2 home runs or at least a home run and a double, a couple RBIs to really pay off that salary.
And then at that point, you're like, oh crap,
he's beating up Snell a little bit too much.
Yeah. Damn, I never made that connection, but that makes a lot of sense. All right, Falcor. This might be our last question of the day here, cards. FanDuel single entry Lucchesi at pitcher and full stack Baltimore and Houston. By the way, don't forget to smash that like button, says John.
Yeah, I mean, Lucchesi, I don't really the thought process is okay. I'm not really on him. I'm trying to see if there's anybody that I would rather play at that price. Probably not. I'd go down. Well, Phillips is 500 less. But that game is locked literally right as I'm talking. So I would play Phillips over Lucchesi, but you can't change that now.
Okay. Well, and on that note, I think we bounce on out of here. We've answered all the questions. We've given you some pitchers, some home run calls, some batters. We've given you everything we can. Hopefully the weather will work out whatever way you played it. So for Ice, for Cards, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes. Guys, we appreciate you. We love you. And we will catch you tomorrow. You have been pro.